I think we're recording now. So I just want to say hi to all the Uplanders that are watching right now. My name is John Connor, and I'm a product manager and head of live operations over at Upland. And with me today is NFT artist and Upland celebrity Mars Utah, who has been making multimedia art and specializing in creating some innovative and really interesting NFTs. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So Mars, thank you so much for joining us. I know, we chatted a little bit prior to starting this recording, and so I just wanted to jump right in and get talking about the NFTs. So can you tell us, how did you start creating NFT art in the first place?
Well, I kind of stumbled into, well, first off, let me say hi, John. I'm getting right into business here, but, thanks for having me. Definitely honored, that you came to me, to feature me on this and to be featured by Upland. And, the NFT line is Red Planet Art. So it's thank you very much for having us. What brought me down, I didn't know what an NFT was about a year ago, to be honest with you. I'm a lifelong artist in about every medium you could think of. And a good friend of mine, Bones Manifest, is big in the space, especially the EOS space and crypto, and was the one that introduced me to NFTs. And, once I got into, saw how the Garbage Pail Kids and Blockchain Heroes operated and the ease of entry into that area to distribute your art to actual eyeballs, and that's really all it took to get the ball rolling on that. It's been groundbreaking ever since.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that seems to be the case with a lot of artists. They're discovering the NFT space, and artists are trying to figure out how can they leverage this to kind of do something unique and tell their own story, and kind of translate their traditional mediums into something that works for the NFT world. And I'm curious what your perspective is on like why art has found itself at the center of NFT adoption versus, other mediums or other social applications. Why is it art that seems to be popping up so much in the NFT world?
Yeah, I mean, why it's first, it's kind of hard to put your finger on. I think pretty much every industry, especially artistically, is going to follow like a domino. But artists in general, music, film, but especially visual art, there's so much talent in the world that never gets exposure, never sees the light of day. Finding that entry from, your home studio or drawing at your table with tremendous talent to actually finding a means to put that in front of eyeballs is very, daunting and almost impossible for the average person. Where now, it's kind of like what drew me to it. You have these people with amazing back catalogs, and you're hoping to get signed on with some company who wants to take a chance with you. To them is usually just a financial opportunity or a chance. And so now, these artists who don't fit into that box have that opportunity to put themselves out there. You don't have to sign a deal to get any kind of distribution. You don't have to pay the cost of printing your works. So all of this talent that's out there is now able to just explode, across the whole world, really.
So you listed out a number of really great reasons there. One that really stood out to me that's just like so practical is the fact that you don't have to like print out or create a physical form of your art, right? And so, it can be said you never have to. You can always have a digital copy, right, of someone's art. But the unique thing is creating scarcity, right? Like, how do you create a limited set of art pieces, right? I guess that seems to be the new innovation, right? That people can own something that is scarce, yet with the convenience of it being purely digital, right? In terms of transfer of ownership and distribution, et cetera. And so it sounds like that lowering the barrier to entry for distribution of rare objects is what's allowing a lot more artists to get into this game. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. Like you said, with just the producing the physical goods, and if you just take that concept and backtrack it to all the work and money involved in that, and now especially, with blockchains like EOS and Wax, as opposed to Ethereum and other things, even in the crypto space, the ease of entry is very low. So all those things, just seem to be drawing people in. I think it's just going to snowball. Really, another reason why I think art is first, and obviously, I think sports cards, or even in the wax space, not necessarily sports, but cards, collectibles in general. For me, when I explain the concept of an NFT, I usually end up going to the comparison of a numbered art print as some way to prove scarcity. It wasn't just run off on a copier at Kinko's by someone. Here's a numbered print, provable, signed by the artist, which gives it more value. And if I'm talking to someone who's not familiar with the crypto space, I usually either go back to numbered art prints or some form of sports collectible that, makes the light bulb go off about what scarcity can be, and then how the blockchain provides that to the digital goods. Kind of is the one way that I get through and help out with the mass adoption.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And that mass adoption, that communication is so key to making this, scale and work to get, more artists involved and to reward those artists as well. You can almost say that there's like a revolution in understanding a new type of value, right? And onboarding people to that revolution of thinking about value is a tricky task, and it requires different tools for different individuals to make that light bulb go on.
Yeah, the world does change really slowly in some regards, and I think their consumption and the way the world values their things is very tangible. And so trying to get that a point across to someone, the amount of value that this thing that really lives in your computer or on your phone that they can't put on their shelf or touch, it's a difficult concept for people. And I totally understand that. And finding these ways to explain and these good comparisons, I think, is really the only way to break it down for them. You have to find something that fits that real world mold, because as humans, we love having that touch and feel factor. So that is the one limit to the space, is really just changing minds.
Yeah, yep, that makes sense to me. So Mars, we started talking about artists that were already making art and bringing that art into the digital space and into the, putting it on the blockchain. But my understanding is that you're also working on some art that is kind of blockchain native, right? NFT native. Can you tell us a little bit about the comic book project you're working on, and kind of how that works?
Yes, yeah. Once this is all credit to Upland. Once I was in the space for a little while, this community is just fantastic, and the amount of talent and artists and tech talent in every direction that's grown around the game, just in the Discord community, is amazing. And so through that, as anyone who pays attention to Upland knows, is where I met my good friend Left House. And we started talking and collaborating on many projects, and Recurrier and I also. And he has the Upland comics, and so we came together with a comic idea that I'm writing and drawing with my art partner here in Red Planet, ADK Original, his name is, in Upland. And we want to make sure we give him enough credit, because majority of our pieces are not touched by one person. He and I almost function like one person. A lot of art duos, you have a artist and then an inker. Each person has their job, where it's opposite of unheard of. It's pretty regular that both of us have drawn a piece, and both of us may have inked a piece. So I have to give him his credit here. We've been drawing comics together since we were in 7th grade and writing comics. And, here we are a few decades later. And so he and I are together. We've had some success with art, but like you said, here we are with these skills. We cross paths with Left House and Recurrier, and so we're making a comic book called Metaforce, starring myself, Left House, Recurrier, T. Davis, and Mixplick as the Metaforce. It will be available on Wax only, so just strictly NFT comic book with a totally original story revolving around the metaverses. And as we have these websites now from the main comic companies where they're putting their entire catalog out to be read, digitally, but that takes away the entire collecting factor of it, that blockchain is giving us back. So it's with the people that we were talking to and the creative abilities for all of us, it seemed like the perfect project to test what was able to be done next on Wax.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds really awesome. That's a huge collaboration, partially Upland inspired, which is really exciting for us. Obviously, we love the idea that these innovative art forms are springing out of Upland. Now, you were explaining to me some of the things that kind of make this project a little unique. I know you haven't launched it yet, but are you at liberty to describe the burn mechanic and how that'll be involved in the comic book as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, I'll key into that. I'll be a little vague, but there, as we were talking about, there are plenty of collectible lines who are employing, the mechanics of burning in order to create scarcity or to, get a limited edition, card back or whatever it may be. And the Wax community really seems to enjoy that, gamifying these releases and having some kind of interaction, to take part in. Definitely seems to be the next evolution of art on the blockchain, somewhere between games and collectibles. And we wanted to find something kind of innovative to the space that would provide fun as well as scarcity and value. And so before the first comic is released, we are releasing a card set to introduce the world to the characters. And the hero cards will not be available through the packs. You will have to obtain the elements that create the heroes and the normal citizen themselves and then burn them all together, and you'll be rewarded with the hero card. So it's following the same path as the storyline in order to create the card, which I think gives a little more, you're creating value and scarcity at the same time as, following the lore of the book. And I think it's a very, very interesting way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And just to clarify, so when you burn the cards in order to create the superheroes, those cards you burn, they're gone, right?
Yes, yeah. So the numbers of the releases will be balanced in a way that those pieces that are being burned are not purely disposable pieces of work. You'll still need to retain another one if you want to complete the collection. So they are an official, important part of the collection with their own rarities. So they'll just be, without getting too in depth, there'll be higher numbers of those so that everything equals out essentially. Depending on how people execute the burns, you can never guarantee that. But we're not trying to create any imbalances or make any other pieces of art more important than the others.
Gotcha. So just so I'm clear, could you burn all of the requisite cards so that you only have the heroes left? Is that what might end up happening?
No, because to be vague, there is an additional resource, and there are only going to
Ah,
be so many of that resource. So there's a control
interesting.
on the number that way.
Now that's really cool. Okay, I look forward to getting the details on that one. That's very exciting. Cool. So we got the comic book, a bunch of characters that were inspired by Upland players, your collaborators on this one. There's going to be cards involved. There's going to be some
And
really cool scarcity mechanics and kind of almost like an evolution mechanism. That is really awesome, and that's something that's
yeah,
really unique to the blockchain.
yeah. So we have our Upland hero T Davis is doing all of our web work for us, and the Mighty Left House is going to be creating some pack opening sequences and probably some animation style variants to the comics. We're just going down some of these rabbit holes for the final versions, but we're deploying the Upland superhero team to create another superhero team.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So, am I able to show the comic book image that you shared with me, or does that need to stay on the
Yeah,
DL for now?
absolutely.
Cool, cool. So we'll get that up here in the edit. And now is a good time to actually start talking about the pieces that we are featuring. So there will be three pieces, original works that we'll be featuring that will be one of one NFTs that'll be auctioned off. And one version, I believe we're going to do three colors of. So there'll be three one of ones for that particular one, the skull, which I believe you have tattooed. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, that lives on my shin. In my
That's on
Muay
your
Thai
shin.
days, that skull lived in the part that used to contact other skulls.
Gotcha. Very cool. So you say that because you also train martial arts, is that right?
Yes, yeah, I'm into mostly Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but some boxing, Muay Thai. The lovely Venus, my fiance, is a kickboxer, so we stay
Wow.
active around the Utah household.
That's awesome. A musical artist, a digital artist, and also a martial artist. That is really incredible.
Yeah, if you can tie art in, I'm down.
Yeah, that sounds like a great way to live. So getting into these pieces, the skull piece that you have tattooed, what is the story there? Where did this come from?
Yeah, so that was going back to how I said before, that was drawn about 50-50 by my art partner ADK Original and I. I did the kind of graffiti style ornamentation around the outside, and he did the skull work. And he actually was the one who put that onto my body as well. He's a tattoo artist. So we've bonded in many number of ways. Uh, but that was inspired by actually a rough patch in my personal life, and it's titled "I'd Rather Be Good." And there's a subtitle for the different variants. But if you know the saying, "I'd rather be lucky than good." Well,
Mhm.
I don't have a lot of luck, so I always bank on being good. So that's
Interesting.
kind of a little mythos behind that piece without getting too awful personal.
So that's pretty personal. It's a tattoo. There's a story behind it. There's a whole mythos, as you say, that's going to be a part of these pieces. So how do you feel about that being converted into a block explorer that someone is going to bid on and then own in Upland?
Yeah, very exciting, and I think this can go right back into what we were talking before as far as what NFTs can do. If you asked me that, a few months ago, I'd be turning the tattoo that I've had on my body for over a decade into a, piece of art to then be bid on and also turned into a piece for a video game. It's a pretty mind-blowing chain of events there for, anyone who's not living in our world. So it's super exciting. I have some little ones in my life, and they're very excited to see these things turned into some video game graphics and things like that. So very excited for the opportunity, and personally, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to feel when I see it floating around the game. Obviously it's going to be amazing, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that day when I log in to do a treasure hunt and I get beat by the person who has my block explorer.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. There's going to be, I mean, you're at the tip of the iceberg here, right? And it's really exciting that some of your work will be some of the first user generated art in Upland. But on a long enough timeline, we'll see a lot of people's art floating around the screen and being an interactive part of the economy. So that's going to be, I think, really interesting for a lot of digital artists to see their work and interact with it in that way, right? Within this larger economy slash community as it grows.
Yeah, I can't wait, like I said, and that's just all the credit to you guys, the whole Upland team, for having the outlook on their community like you do, to understand and value the talent that you have there, and to make those talented people giving back to the community feel involved, and to be able to do products like or projects like this that let you know that you are valued, and to put your stuff out. It's very exciting and much appreciated. I know there's a whole lot of other communities, not in this exact niche, but they're just there to take your money. They don't observe what's going on and who their community really is, or give any opportunities back. So it's super exciting, and we're very honored to be the first one.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And for those listeners that haven't seen it yet, Mars Utah has also done a really awesome music video and the intro song to the UpX podcast. That'll also be shared in the post that'll contain this video as well as part of our NFT artist spotlight. So this is the first part, the interview part, and the second part is going to be the auction, where we auction off the 3 pieces of your work and the correlating block explorers. So that'll happen in about a week after this goes live. That'll be really exciting, and I know the community is going to be really engaged around that. So I'm wondering, can you tell us a little bit more about your style? One thing that I know gets the players really excited when they see art, NFT art, is understanding kind of what they're looking at, right? Like, what is this supposed to mean to me? What is the artist saying? And it's so difficult in art, but since we have you here, enlighten us. What are we looking at when we're looking at your work?
Yeah, it's like I said, I've been a lifelong artist, and it's just a constant evolution of things that jump out and grab, make me feel, and they may be conscious or unconscious, and then they ingrain themselves in my creativity, whether I want them to or not, so that's kind of how I've grown. To age myself a little bit, I was into, I was a very imaginative kid, as you could probably tell. And, I love the action figures and, GI Joe guys and anything that captured your imagination, and the art and the cartoons around that, even the packaging of those things. You would get home and some of them you didn't even want to open them. They just did such a beautiful job with that. And so I've always been into comics, cartoons. 80K Original and I were very into comics growing up, so that's ingrained itself. A lot of skate art. I almost, if I had to put a label on it, I've been known to call my style kind of acid comic art. It's, not quite what you get from Marvel and things like that, kind of crossed with a lot of skate art influences. A good friend of mine through high school is a very huge street artist in San Francisco. So there was a tight knit crew of us in our community that all grew up artists and seemed to gravitate to that kind of skateboard art, comic art. And I'm one of those people that I don't put my nose up at commercial art either. Logos and brightly colored things, sports logos and color schemes, they all kind of grab me and gravitate the flashy colors. So, and then, I do have a bit of a fine art background as well that kind of hides under there embarrassingly. So, yeah, it all kind of comes together and really depends on what way I'm working, what you're going to get. So it's kind of hard to pin me down, but that's the best I can do with trying to sum it up. It wasn't a very good job.
No, that was really great. There's obviously a lot of influences, and I like the fact that you mentioned the fine arts background. I think it's really important for a lot of artists to understand the rules first and then to break them. And that's something that I can kind of sense in your work, right? There's a deep understanding of aesthetics, but then you're also taking these modern influences and some of them, like you said, like the graffiti style is almost like kitschy a little bit, but in a creative way that draws people's attention into the work. Um, so the last thing I want to talk about is the second piece that you shared with us. So is it a genie coming out of the chess piece?
It's actually a smoke monster.
Smoke monster. Okay,
I
smoke
had some
monster.
fun with that color scheme. He's a recurring character in the Red Planet artwork. Long time recurring character of 80K Original. He's actually been on T-shirts and all over the place in various forms. He's never formed by transforming out of a chess piece before, so this is his first one there. We wanted to give him a little love in the spotlight since he's a character who's done a lot for us, and also think about what may carry over to a block explorer. I know we have a lot of chess enthusiasts in our community, so that kind of popped into my head, and once I got that visual brewing in there, it just stuck. So it plays on a lot of the strategies, and I think it works on however many levels you want to think about it on. We'll leave that open to interpretation, but as you said, it doesn't look like a deep fine art piece if you take it at face value, but there's some things to think about if that's how you like your art.
Cool. Well, that is really awesome. Mars, Utah. I think that covers it for the questions that I wanted to ask today. You gave us some of your thoughts on NFTs. You explained some of your artwork that you're making for this upcoming artist spotlight. You let us know about what's going on with this upcoming comic book and told us about some cool mechanisms involved. Well, I really appreciate it. I guess just to close, is there anything else that you want to let the Upland community know about your art or what you're working on in Upland?
Nothing too specifically. Like I said, just I want to make sure I throw enough credit out to the other guys on the team there, especially ADK Original. But Rick Courier's been working hard on the comic book, and Left House and I are becoming quite the dynamic duo. So he, as you know, he officially dubbed me a member of the Upland Action News. So I'm officially a co-host. So any of you new Uplanders who haven't caught the Upland Action News daily on YouTube, be sure to tune in there too. But keep your eye out for Metaforce. We have a Telegram, a Discord starting up soon. The website will be out, and once that gets rolling, I'll get back to also producing some stuff from Red Planet Art on Wax, more of these one-off art pieces. So we're just going to keep on chugging and just keep picking up speed. It's no telling where it goes from here, and probably another piece of music coming sometime soon. So keep your ears out.
Great. Yeah, that first one was a hit, and I can't wait to hear a follow-up. All right, Mars, it's been great talking to you. And yeah, I will catch you around the metaverse. Take care,
All
brother.
right. Thank you.